Hello, everyone. This is Rick with the Cyber Pro podcast, where industry leaders share their insights. We're excited to have Mr. Ben Bohman, the CTO and founder of Stratishield AI. Ben, who are you and what makes you awesome?
Hey, Rick. First of all, thanks for having me. Really appreciate, known you for a while. Love hopping on with you. So thank you. So Stratishield AI is a company that is really focused around organizational, cultural efficiencies in AI. And I know that seems like a broad thing, but as I've explored AI and I've gone down this journey, it really comes around the data, right? That's really what it comes down to. If you want to call it the lifeblood of AI, the oxygen of AI, whatever it is. But all this internal data has been my focus. And it's been interesting. You see all these like Perplexity and GPT and all these things that are doing some amazing thing with external insights. But the real value that a company has is their internal data. So what I really focus on again is these organizational and operational efficiencies wrapped around the company's data and trying to consolidate these data sources into a AI model where you can pull insights and actionable insights from accounting, marketing, supply chain, whatever it is within your ecosystem, and consolidating that for actual usable information, and then combining external data, which is easy as well. But that's really the focus of what Stratishield, and then securing the data, which is important. But that's really the focus of Stratishield.
You have an interesting journey to get here, right? I mean, I've known you for a couple of years now, and I know that you started out, building computers, and you've kind of been an overall lifelong nerd, right? But you've advanced through that into being a people person, into understanding business strategy. What's your journey been like in getting through security, through the AI landscape?
Yeah, it's been interesting and just witnessing so many different technologies, right? And you talk about becoming a people person, and I really found this a passion with psychology. In fact, I'm graduating with a bachelor's in psychology next week, which is exciting. And then I'm moving on to a master's in organizational and business psychology. And I think as you've known me, one of my focuses has always been on how it works in the business strategy and how this technology works in business. And it has been, I would say, an interesting and fun and sometimes challenging dive into all these different technologies, and cybersecurity was one. At first, when I started talking about it was a little complicated because when I was an IT director back in the day, I had what I do is secure my web, my emails. I had a firewall, right? And a virus protection, McAfee or Norton or whatever. And that's how I easily secured. But now that landscape has just grown so vastly. But what I've realized, whatever the technology I talk about, and AI is the same, cybersecurity is the same. And you and I have had this conversation. You have to really address the business and understand what is the business's focus and how do they operate and how do they work. And then you have to customize your conversation and your solution to that. So it's been interesting, but what I love again is always tying it back to the people and the processes and the business. And it makes technology actually not so boring.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk about this artificial intelligence. It's been around for a long time. It's been around well longer than ChatGPT and Microsoft Copilot have brought it to the forefront. But what are some recent evolutions of artificial intelligence that you're seeing today that are really supporting cybersecurity and that business strategy?
Yeah, it's a ongoing evolution, right? So if you look at cybersecurity, and I'd say you probably agree with this. Probably around 2012, we started seeing behavioral analytics. I think that's when we started seeing machine learning and cybersecurity. Started seeing more use of deep learning into like all these various actions that are happening in a ecosystem or into a network. And I think that's been an interesting evolution as far as fine tuning this time to response using behavioral analytics. I think that's one way that AI and cybersecurity has definitely begin to elevate. And there's a lot more, again, proactivity, if you want to call it that, because of AI. Before it was very reactive. And as we know, in virus protection is very signature based. It's either is or isn't. But now it's different. Now, there's another thing that I find funny with AI, and it's funny and it's not, but it's with phishing attacks. I was thinking about this the other day. Remember when we used to get a phishing attack and you could tell it was because it was horribly misspelled. Grammatically, grammatically, and now I'm grammatically incorrect. Grammatically, same thing. So grammatically incorrect. And you could really be like, I probably shouldn't click on this, right? These are getting more sophisticated because of AI. So on the other end, what we're seeing this spoofing and this ability to imitate somebody so easy. And now you get into deep fakes, right? I have my own AI avatar. You might see it, I call him Ben Batar. It looks a lot just like me. And there's still a lot of work that goes into it, but as these start to advance, it's going to get interesting. One of the examples I like to use, and it's not even an actual cybersecurity attack, but it's a great example of social networking out here in Las Vegas. So one of the casinos out here in Las Vegas, they had someone call into the cage and convince a cage manager to drive $200,000 in cash to a gas station in Las Vegas. And they had a good enough story. They had a good enough, just overall all like knowledge about the internal working and the culture and everything to actually convince a cage manager to do that. So you think about that, and that was probably without AI, just a lot of research and just how vulnerable we are from social engineering. And, like I think, what is it, like 70% of all attacks start with the human element. So
Yeah.
I think there's been this ebb and flow there's been some enhancement in security. There's also been some enhancement in the bad actors, but now there's also going to be some doors opening for new types of cybersecurity products to come out to protect against the new AI attacks that are happening.
I love it. So let's take that one step further because I know you are very, very focused on utilizing the emerging technology of today's AI large language models into helping businesses just become better. So how is that approach? How is that trend driving forward with you?
Yeah, and actually, it just makes me think of one of the other vulnerabilities that I just recently read about, and that's these insertions into AI models for incorrect data. And we already have these hallucinations that happen in AI, right? But now you have bad actors who are inserting bad information to get bad responses into the data, and yeah, I think that's kind of an interesting use case, right? When you think about like another thing we need to protect, another thing we worry about, I'd say one of the biggest adversarial adopting, I guess, one of the biggest reasons why people aren't adopting, especially in highly regulated industries like fintech and healthcare, is because they really need accurate data, and inaccurate data from an AI model is going to come with obviously a reputational hit, but also a lawsuit, especially in healthcare. And so there are a lot of vulnerabilities, but you are seeing an evolution, of course, of people starting to use the data. You're seeing an evolution of people understanding what AI even is. You're seeing an evolution of boards starting to put AI initiatives and send AI initiatives down to people and to the CIO, CTO saying, hey, what are our AI initiatives? But there's still a lot of confusion and a lot of hesitation, and I'd say rightfully so. Even in my consulting business, I always tell people, "Hey, let's slow down a little bit." And, like, if you think about the BlackBerry and a cell phone now, a cell phone's completely different than a BlackBerry. That's such a good example for AI because if you take AI right now, hey, it's really cool, but in 3, 4, or 5 years, that technology that you may have just invested $1 million into is gonna be way cooler, way different, and probably cheaper. Now, it doesn't mean don't move forward with new AI initiatives. It doesn't mean don't leverage your data the way you can leverage your data with AI, but do so with a little hesitancy and, corporate responsibility.
I love it. Ben, end of the podcast, we always ask a fun question. And because you're so ingrained in this new modern world of AI, I want to know what your favorite piece of retro technology actually is that makes you smile.
You're saying retro, like the old technology? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Oh man. I still like I'm a video game not kind of like I'm a video game freak. So I really like I don't like the old Ataris and the even the base Nintendo. And I know there's older stuff than that, but I think that older technology still, and I see those games, and I have one of those little like portable like units that you can download 500 old games with. Those still make me smile, and it even makes me appreciate what we have now in video games as I'm playing like the new Diablo or the new whatever like NHL game that comes out. It's amazing. But yeah, the retro gaming is really a lot of fun.
Ben, thank you so much for being on the Cyber Pro podcast.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. I appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning into the Cyber Pro podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on new podcasts and all of our cool bonus content.